Well, hello and welcome today, everyone, to Journeys with Jessica. This is the podcast where we get to explore real stories, challenges, and the victories behind becoming a certified financial planner. And so, my guest today is Chris Akers, and I'm so excited because you are in the process of studying for the exam, and I am so pumped. You are so close to us celebrating you on the other side. And so I can't wait to hear your story and your insights that you can share with all of us. So let's dive in. Welcome, Chris.
No, thank you, Jessica. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's always nice to get to do these things.
So tell me a little bit about where you are at and about your journey so far on this path.
Yeah, so I've been essentially in the industry for about 3.5 years after graduating college, and so I started it relatively early in my career. I started my first year of working in the industry, and so I don't actually work directly with financial planning, but I work more on the mergers and acquisition side of RAs and family offices, and so I get to see it, but I'm not really doing it. So for me, my thought was may as well just go ahead and get it done. Um, and then quickly found that it's a little bit harder than that. So it took me about, less than a year to get through the class portion, which I did with Kaplan. And then I did Zahn for the review program the first time and was not successful with them. Um, and then started going through it a second time and was kind of sold on just redoing the Zahn program, doing it the same way. And just, I guess, a little background, like I was a Division I athlete. I'm very much put in the hours and keep your head down and, you know, work as hard as you can and it just works out. And I've quickly found with this exam that that's not the case. So it's been, that's when Paul came into the picture, and we've pretty much just completely revamped my whole outlook on how I'm studying for this thing, my whole routine, my whole schedule, um, pretty much every part about what I'm doing. We've just completely revamped it, and I'm sure that's not a uncommon story, but yeah. So I am now on my essentially my third attempt actually with it, but my first time without doing Zahn. So that was I guess, the second part of it.
Okay, so I will tell you, thank you for sharing that. I passed on my third attempt. I and very similar to yourself in the sense that I did Boston University. I was a career changer. So I did Boston University for my classes, and then and that was during COVID. So it was all online. And then I did Danko for the review, and it's phenomenal. Like, I'm not saying any program is bad. I just think there's a different way of going about it for each person. And so everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different. But first time did not pass. Second time I was like, well, I thought I studied enough. Clearly I didn't. I'll just do the same thing again. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
That's
But I
right.
did get, I was trying to do a little different in some aspects, but the second time was crushing for me. I don't know, how you felt, but it feels, when you as a D1 athlete, you put in the work, you put in the work. Well, obviously I should get the results. Just work harder and it will happen the way I want it to. Where, as you said, it's a little bit different here. And so what made you make the decision? Because it sounds like, I think I talked to you or Paul earlier, but you had worked with him for a short stint right before the second exam. Is that correct? But
It,
just one
it,
area. Can you explain to me a little bit about that?
yeah. So, and that's another thing I've quickly found that I think with Paul, it's definitely taking a little bit longer than I did. I reached out to him pretty late in my process. I was actually at the Zahn live in person review for the second time around. And I got through the first like 2 days of it. And I was like, this is just not doing it for me. I need something more. And so I called. I can't remember if I found him through, I know I found him through Madison did
Yep.
yeah, she did a like Q&A with on YouTube with CFP, and I heard his name there. before I even got to the Zahn in-person review. And so then I remembered his name, searched it up, called him. And I remember like the first question he asked me had to do with like, uh, what kind of investments would you put income investments into a like zero, I don't know, something like zero coupon bond, creating, phantom income or kitty tax income. And I was so fried from the like in-person review that I just completely blanked. And it's funny because for me, that was the eye-opening moment where I realized how much different applying this stuff is than just knowing the definitions and the textbook answers and this and that. Like knowing a custodial account versus what actually functions and all that. So started working with Paul probably 2, 3 times a week for that last month leading up to the exam. And it was funny for me. I didn't really improve too much other than estate planning, which was the one area that I told Paul I needed to focus on with him. And the funniest part was I never even opened a textbook with estate planning. I just worked with Paul, kind of he just understood, I think, the way that I operated, and then was able to help me understand estate planning to the level I needed to. And I mean, like I said, I turned one of the worst subjects I had the first time into a pass pretty easily. It's not like it just happens like that, as you know, but it's like for me, that was the eye-opening moment of, okay, this stuff is actually doable. But to your point, the second time, it was a really like a kick to the face. I mean, it was hard to see the result on the screen.
And yes, yes, yes. I think what I like that you shared is you didn't even open the book for that section. And the reason I'm going back to that is because I, similar to yourself, felt like, well, if they tell you to do A, B, C, D, and you'll get the result at the end, then why, if I do A, B, C, D over and over and over again, will it not work? And, I'm sure you were a golfer in college. Is that
Mhm.
correct? Okay.
Yeah,
So if they tell you in the off season, this is what you need to do every day before you show up back up, for the season, you do what they tell you to do, and you're usually good to go in the beginning. If you want to be
yeah,
better, then you do a little bit more. But that's what you need to do. Whereas here, it is really understanding the essence of each topic. I keep saying like 5 layers deep. It is not the memorization. It is not, just know these formulas and know these charts. And you have to understand it because the question is not just going to be on tax or estate or insurance. And so I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Why do you, so similar to, how did you feel that you were actually ready to get, to work with Paul?
I think that's probably one of the more important questions because I think, obviously most people are going to be coming to Paul after having failed the exam. And my best piece of advice, because I'm also, and I'm sure similar, a person who's just trying to jump right back into it as quickly as I can and like get back to it. And Paul was pretty adamant with me to take, minimum a month off, even more off if I felt like I needed to just completely get away from it, like get back into my old routine, kind of find my old life. Um, and I think it's different for everybody. For me, it was about a month and a half. I just feel like it's different for everybody, but you need to be able to reset and get back to doing like for me, obviously golf is a big piece of my life, but I love to fly fish. I love to cycle. I love to do a lot of different things. For me, it was like getting back into that, incorporating those things into my life again. And I think stopping like punishing myself in a means to study harder. That's a
Uh-huh.
big thing Paul and I work on. It's just like, you know, I have my windows of studying, I get it done. And then from that point on, it's like I need to be associated with the rest of my life. So that's what I would say for that is like you need to be able to be reset and I think refreshed before you get back with Paul.
Rest and refresh. I'm writing that down because that
Yeah.
is, I, I jumped right. I took the first exam in, when was it? It was November. And then I took the second exam that following March. So right
Okay.
away,
Yeah.
failed.
Quick.
Lovely. And then I took time off. I was like, I'm taking a year because I am just blah, 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 blah. I have 3 young kids. Husband travel. This was like one of those, I, I had burned every end of the stick at that point and I needed a break. And about 9 months after, I reached out to Paul, and it was through Madison's interview as well. And I talked to him, and he said, "But you need to be like ready to go." And I disconnected or I hung up, and I thought to myself, "Okay, I'm ready." And then I'm like, "I'm gonna sleep on it." And then I realized I am not 100% ready where I actually need to be. And I was kind of upset with myself, but then I thought, "Okay, I'm doing this one more time. I don't want to do this over and over and over again. Like this is it." And so I gave myself another 3 months. And at that point, I called him and I said, "I'm ready to go." And I gave myself I think it was 6 months to work with him. And then I got a concussion and I was
Oh,
out
wow.
for 5 weeks and couldn't touch anything. And I was pissed. So I'm like, wait, this is not the plan we had.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And it's when you feel refreshed and, rested and you are willing to fully put forth what you need to. And it's not more time, which I think you also hit on. It is your life still needs to exist. Because
Yeah.
if you're miserable 24/7 and thinking about, oh, I should be studying, I should be doing this, you're going to feel like you're studying 24/7 and it's
And
not efficient. So it's like,
it's not, yeah.
when are your times where you're going to do your best? For me, it was in the morning time before the chaos started. And I don't know if you listened to him right away. I was a bad student at first. I did not. He said to take one weekend day off every single week. I sucked for a little bit. I figured my tutoring days were my days off. That did not fly. But as soon as I did, it's like, oh, you can have a life too. Like you can pour your guts into it, but then you can also have a life. And then there's a balance so that the marathon doesn't seem, you're not running a full out sprint the entire time.
Oh yeah. I literally, when we first started working together, again, it was only that first month leading up to the exam. And like, I think it was 2 weeks in or the third weekend, I had told him that I took a day off, and I literally took a day off because I just had, like, I had to. I couldn't keep going the way I was going. And I came back that next Monday and felt just completely on top of it, felt confident I was going to pass. I was like, this is, he was like, he told me, he's like, this is what I told you to do 3 weeks ago. And I think he knew at that point it was probably not going to work out the way I wanted to. Because when I got into the room to take that exam, I mean, I don't even know what language it was written in almost. I was so, but you're right. I mean, like, you can't overpower this thing. You have to take it for what it is, and you have to give yourself the best chances possible on every single question. But you can't do that if you don't have a fresh brain. You just
Yep.
can't.
Yep. You are 100% correct. And do you feel like you're studying more, less, the same? Are you, before you made the changes, like what's different in your study routine this time around?
I'm fully confident that I'm studying less, but I think that less is relative because I was studying way too much. So I'd say I'm still studying a healthy amount, but it's more of 4 or 5 tasks. I travel a lot for work, and so if I'm traveling, travel days and certain days where we have a lot of meetings, I'll just do 2 to 3 tasks. And for me, what I found is, and I'm sure it was maybe similar for you if you did the same thing, but that feeling of accomplishing a task, it doesn't just come from like writing, okay, I'm going to do an exam. It's like, then you start to think about, well, if I'm putting this down as a task, like, why am I putting this down as a task? How's it actually helping me? And that, to me, that's the big shift. It's not just, okay, I'm going to put 2 hours into estate planning quizzes today, just have at it. It's, okay, if I'm going to put estate planning quiz down, these are the standards I want to meet, and then this is what I hope to get out of it. So that's how I view it now: is 4 or 5 tasks a day, get them done. And more than not, I'm sitting there at the end of the day like, okay, need to do something else. And it's still taking me time to adjust to just say, okay, I'm done. Like, that was my time. It took
Hmm.
me, sometimes it takes me less than an hour, sometimes it takes me 2 hours. But for me, it's important, and I'm sure it was for you too, to have those tasks done, you're done, and now you can go worry about your work day, or go cycle or whatever it may be.
No, and I like that you're talking about the being active. I know you're a D1 athlete, but it's I think the not only is it a mental game in terms of what the knowledge, but it is mental, emotional, and physical. Like you need to be in the best possible place in those areas. And for me, it was hot power yoga because I was trying to not die. So it was, I couldn't think about anything else. So it was my 1 hour each day where it was
Forces
like,
you to, yeah, focus.
it forces you, or else you're going to literally fall on your face. And then meditation, because for those, however, 5, 10 minutes, it was like there was a stillness and there was, it is okay without feeling like you always have to do something more.
Yeah, that's a really good
And
point. Yeah.
the 4 to 5 tasks was very hard for me at first because I said to Paul, well, I need to know exactly what are the tasks each day. And sometimes it was literally YouTubing a topic and watching a 5 minute video with the visual so that I could get it through my brain the right way.
Yeah.
Not anything that you'd find in Zon, Danko, or even what he was going to show. It had to be something that I personally needed to understand a topic and being okay with doing it not the conventional way.
Well, I think the funniest thing, and this is something that I have watched like a few of the videos, and this is something that I haven't quite heard the way that I actually think of it. It's helped me in pretty much every aspect of my life. Like with work, it's like I know how to actually task and orient things differently now. It's almost like Paul makes things just simpler, where I think we're our minds and maybe we have similar minds are meant to say, well, like, what's the hardest and most complex way to get this done so that it feels like I accomplished something. And Paul's just like, nope, just 5 tasks, just do that. Start there.
That's not
So
hard enough. That's not hard enough, Chris. Like I need
I
it to
know,
feel painful.
I know. It has to suck, right?
Exactly, exactly. There, if yeah, no pain, no gain. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Um, I am just telling you, I you are going to crush this. The mindset shift and the it's like I haven't spoken to you before, but you can just tell there's a lightness of I got this. Because at least for me, the first 2 attempts, probably similar to yourself, it's like, oh my God, I just have to get through it. I just have to get through it. I'm gonna put everything else on in life on
Yeah.
hold and do or die. Whereas this is I can have a life. I'm trying to get my CFP and I don't have to be miserable the entire time.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then magically you're energized and you can study better.
Yeah. That's the funniest part about it is I look back on and that's the thing, and I don't know if you felt this way, but I look back when I was, like you said, the readings of the textbooks, then a quiz, then this and that. And I probably look back on and again, this is nothing against any of the review programs, it's
Right.
more of just me personally. 80% of the studying that I was doing in the 400 hours I put into each CFP exam I've done were probably pointless because for me, the reading and the way that I was going about it was not working for me. And I just, again, you talk about, if you think that it's just someone gives you a routine, follow it, and you pass, it's just not how it works. You have to, like you said, sometimes it's a 5 minute YouTube video that you need, or this and that. But that's the beauty of it is you don't have to be miserable and study for this thing and do well. You don't have to. So yeah.
Oh, Lordy. If only I knew that after, but you don't know until
You don't shut up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when you get a month out, when are you taking it?
So we're slated for March.
Okay, perfect. So I don't know if Paul has mentioned this to you. He told me in the beginning I was going to do 100 questions a day for the last month. I thought he was out of his tree. I'm like, that is impossible. First of all, there's not that many questions. Second of all, that will take me 10 hours. Like it's just physically impossible. It was the best exposure therapy I could ever have. Like I have not been over the years a great test taker, test taking anxiety, all that fun stuff. However, when I went into that exam, it was less than 2 days of Paul questions because 100 and 100 is less than 170. And so to me, it was just like, it was clockwork. And I said to Paul afterwards, it was so funny. I'm like, Paul, I feel like you were sitting on the exam talking to me. As I'm going through the questions, I'm like defending my answers and why this is right versus wrong. And I kept looking around thinking, please God, don't let me have just spoken out loud. They're going to put me in a loony bin, but it was because you've gone through it so many times, you don't second guess yourself. You're so used to being in that environment and the time that it becomes so much easier.
Well, and I think too, like just right on that point, I mean, the biggest shift is, and I think people start to see this if they haven't already, it's when you start with Paul, like that first few sessions, maybe even first month of sessions, you're gonna feel like, I mean, I felt like the dumbest person on the
I
planet. Like,
cried. I cried a
yeah.
lot. I
I'm
literally
not
think I
surprised.
swore more at him than anybody else, and he is the calmest, most patient person on the planet. And there were a few days, Chris, where I used to say I'm a morning person, and sometimes, like if it was in the afternoon, I'm like, well, I'm a morning person. That's why I'm not getting it. But in the morning, sometimes I wasn't getting it. And man, when that self-doubt gets in your head and I get into my own, I don't know about you, it is soul crushing. And so by the
It's
end, I was
terrible.
like, I got this. Come on, bring it on, Paul. I will tell you that I am confident in my answer. But that was not for a little while. So if anybody is thinking about working with him, or you are working with him and you're in the process, know it is normal to cry, yell, swear, question yourself, but there is a light on the other side. I promise you, and it will prepare you so well for passing the exam.
Oh, and that moment where it starts, like I remember when I first really started to understand, what we're looking for in each question. And for me, the thing that has worked really well is trying to like, I mean, I went for probably months with just saying, okay, because to your point, there's only so many questions in the bank. That's not the point. It's like I can read through a question, and if I can just pick up three clues in that question, like three keywords, and then go through the answer options, and then eliminate two based off those, and go from there, now I'm to a good spot. And what the shift you see in that is that as opposed to just reading a question and then seeing these answer options and then just having your mind kind of think where things are going, you're just taking what's right there in front of you and you're not making it more complex. And to your point, like with Paul, if you can't defend your answer or you can't give a valid reason, even if that reason makes no sense to him, but it makes sense to you enough to where you're going to defend it, you really have no shot. I mean, you have to be able to have conviction. And I think like when you finally get to that point where you can have conviction, you really feel like you're on top of the world because those first few sessions are just awful in the best way possible. In the best way possible.
We love you, Paul.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I think he'd laugh and love hearing that. So
Oh my God. He's so calm. It's just like he's so calm. And I am not a calm person at all. So it's quite good, quite good. No, I appreciate you so much, Chris, for taking the time to share where you are on this journey. And I am telling you, you're going to freaking crush this. And I cannot wait to bring you back on afterwards and we can do the happy dance and you'll be flying high, even higher than you are right now. So I appreciate it. And we are here cheering you on and you are going to crush it.
thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciate it. You guys have been so supportive throughout the whole process. So
All right.
thanks
Keep
so
it up,
much. Yeah.
bud.
All right, we'll do.